Adam, are you there? Batman, are you there? Can y'all not hear me? What's up, folks? Adam's not speaking. I don't know why. Welcome to Manic Monday. We'll be getting started here in just a minute. Please repost the space. Thanks. We have a lot to talk about today. Lots of things came out over the weekend that the normies are finding out. So I want to get everybody's take on it. I want to talk about the ruse or the faux assassination attempt. I want to talk about what came out about the ballots, which we've all known about, but the truckloads full of ballots. Now the American people are finding out about that. Let's see. The Diddy Michael Jackson thing. There's just so much. It's like never ending story. But I do need somebody to get up here so they can talk to me, since Adam is not talking.
Sorry, I'll be joining you shortly. My apologies.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Well, I was just listening to something, so I think I'm going to start it over again because it was really, really interesting. It was from the Black Americans for Immigration Reform lady. So let me go find that and I'll put that on so we can listen to that while we get our ducks in a row here. All right. Come on. All right, here we go.
But the majority of the people that actually call or I come in contact with usually are center right. Something has changed. I get more phone calls from elite Black liberals than I do from conservatives or people who lean conservative that are Black. And what has changed over the last 2.5, 3 years? Illegal immigration. I get phone calls at 11 o'clock in the morning from pastors, from leaders of NGOs, from community leaders, asking for my help that would never have the same policy and believe in the same policy issues that I do. But they're asking for help because for the first time, the straw that broke the camel's back is mass illegal immigration in Black communities. I have a large network in Chicago of Black pastors who called and said, can you help us? There's reality and there's perception. And we need to not understand how powerful perception is. Here's the perception of African American males. They think that illegal mass immigration of illegal immigrants in their community is so that they can swap out Black people for brown. They believe that they're put there deliberately to take those jobs. Low industry, low skilled jobs that are historically held by African American males. They believe that they're there to displace them so that they don't have economic power so they can be pushed back. Second, they believe that they're there so that they can take control of their community. I hear from leaders in Black urban communities that don't lean right, are saying to me that they're meeting with people and they're seeing these immigrants in their community actually recruiting members to be gang members. Why? Because they want to take control of the community. They believe that there's a plot to make sure that there is no Black ownership of businesses, of housing, because they have deliberately planted all of the illegal immigrants purposely in minority communities to sow discourse. The last thing that I would hate to say, but it's true, is that they believe that the left is deliberately setting up a scenario where there's going to be a racial war not between Black and white, but between Black and brown. The fact that the majority of the illegal immigrants that you've seen in the last year are actually male, military age individuals. A lot of those individuals have been incarcerated, gang members, all of these situations. That we have a community that is the Biden, I call him Lock 'em Up Joe, right? He didn't just take fathers out of the house, he took fathers out of the community completely. So there's already a shortage of Black males in the community. Now you're putting mass amounts of Black Army-ready illegal immigrants in there. What do you think is going to happen? Now, perception is a powerful thing. For the first time, you have Black males who historically lean left that are all of a sudden moving to the right. Why? Because economically, they're being pushed down the ladder, and these other people are coming, illegal immigrants that are being pushed forward and on a pedestal. Imagine this, and I was thinking about this. The average income, median income for African Americans, just nationwide, $35,700 a year. That's somebody that's doing well. That's the median income. That translates to about a little bit over $31,000 a month pre-tax. $3,100 a month pre-tax. If you add in the 15%, because they still have to pay tax, that's about $2,600 a month. From that, take away rent, which the average is $1,500 a month. In Chicago, $1,800 a month. If you're lucky, you can share an apartment with somebody, maybe not. So you're deducting that. Now you got to take out your transportation costs. You have to take out your food costs. Legal immigrants can come into this country. They get $2,200 a month for SSI. They get free rent. So let's add that. $2,200 average, $1,500 in free rent. They're already up to $3,700 a month. Then you add in, and if you use the Eric Adams model, they get another $1,400 in a debit card to pay for food and clothing and whatever accessories. So now you have people on this end who might might have about $400 a month to spend. If they're probably going to be in the hole because they got other assessments that come up. These people over here are actually living an upper middle class life. Why? They're being rewarded for crossing the border illegally. And that doesn't even include the fact that they get free college. They get free health care. So the perception is actually meeting reality when you see that there are people who have been fighting for freedom. And when you hear people say racism, when you hear Black people say racism, what they're talking about is financial freedom, financial stability. I don't feel as financially stable as this person over here that's doing well, or this person over here that can afford all their bills, this person that can take care of their family. And in this sense, Black people are being pushed back, illegal immigrants are being propped up. So all of a sudden, individuals that haven't even achieved financial freedom, haven't achieved it, fighting for decades, are now looking at people who have an insurmountable amount of financial freedom. I want to give you another story. I was in Memphis, Tennessee for the last 3 weeks. Federal Express was laying off natural born citizens to hire illegal immigrants. They were laying them off, not only them, but it was another large company that you would know, laying off legal citizens to replace them with illegal immigrants. In the city of Chicago, the school board is considered a sanctuary city, which means that illegal immigrants get preferential treatment in hiring over natural.
So, yeah. What's up, Walter? How you doing today?
How you folks doing? Kimberly, Adam, see you folks in here. Kelly, just wanted to call you out. I need you to imagine, EQ Mom, I need you guys to imagine something. Imagine being raised in that community for decades and sounding the alarm. This is amazing to me. The same alarm that she's voicing today as if it's something new. And I've lost friends and family in this fight for decades. I call it modern day oppression. They found another way, to oppress and marginalize or suppress the growth of the Black community. By first, particularly in Minnesota, because that's what I know, bringing in immigrants from everywhere. Decades ago, I remember when this started, and pushing the Black business owners out of their communities, the families out of their schools, out of their homes, and out of their, just out of their churches, everything. And they'd have to rebuild somewhere else because they put immigrants in, and it's not the immigrants' fault. I'm not upset with the immigrant. Just the way the government processed everything and the way they just threw these two brown and Black people together, different cultures, different languages, and said, live with it. And it happened over and over again with different immigrants from different countries. And now I listen, to folks like this lady, and it's like, I mean, all that I went through, the fight that I went through, the loss, the loss of family members, including my own daughter who doesn't speak to me anymore, people like that, and to find out that the truth is now being received, and now it's like, well, how do you turn this ship around at this point? We should have woken up a long time ago. So the question for me at this point and moving forward is it true that it's better late than never? I don't know. Because it's going to be real hard to turn this ship around. But I think that's the question that the community has to ask themselves at this point. Thanks for the mic.
I understand your frustration. I've seen it with, J6ers as people are waking up. I think that we sort of have to walk a very delicate balance because this is what we've wanted, right? But now there is this visceral reaction of anger because your relationships were wrecked due to the dishonesty of our government, right? And we saw time and time again where they were purposely pitting family members against each other in Facebook and in other social media. So there's this really diabolical process that they have used to rape us of our culture and our family values and God and all of these things that they have systematically done over the years. And we need to find that, because we have to give them a path back to good, right? So these people that are waking up, as much as we want to be like, oh my gosh, it's just so stupid, we can't, because we need to remember being stuck in that machine when you're lulled into complacency.
Yeah, I'll have to, continue, because this pain and frustration and anger will continue for me. And I'll have to, like you said, and I understand it, still be receptive and open arms to these folks that are recognizing what they allowed to happen. Now, in many cases, you're going to see folks that have married themselves to an idea, married themselves to this idea, and they to have to admit to themselves that they had it wrong this whole time. It's going to be complicated for some of them, and to get them to recognize that what has been happening for all this time and how they've been bamboozled is going to be in itself another frustration that we get to add to our pot of frustration. So but this is what we live for. To be honest with you, we don't live to serve our own selves and our own and find our own satisfaction and everything. We were put here to serve one another and serve God, and this is one of those things that we find ourselves having to, kind of suppress our own feelings and really rise above ourselves and try to rescue some of these people if we can and when we can.
You're exactly right. And Mr. Philby has said it before, right? Like, I want a damn apology for COVID. I want a damn apology for what they tried to do to us. And we were the ones that said, no, we are not doing that. We are not putting something that you fast tracked. You've never been able to make an upper respiratory virus vaccine. Like there's never been one. A coronavirus vaccine has never been created in all the years that we've been trying to do it. And now all of a sudden you want us to believe that you've, whipped one up. Oh, and not only whipped one up, but whipped up billions of, doses. So, but there is that sort of satisfaction, right? Because again, this is what we've been trying to do. We've been trying to get people to understand what's going on, open their eyes, wake up, right? But there is that, frustration of like, finally. And are you going to admit that you were, or are you going to double down on it? Which is what they've been doing.
Yeah, it brings me back though to what I say often, and that it's our, and this is kind of something that we have to deal with in parallel, I guess you would say, to what we're talking about, and that is, we're almost out of time. We are out of time, and we don't, it's not our job to wake the sheep, but it's our job to wake the sleeping lion. So we have two things happening here at the same time, and we're gonna have to learn to walk and chew gum in a sense. We have to, continue on the quest of bringing out distributing the information, sharpening our message, and for the people that are already have our values and head in the same direction as we are. And at the same time, we have to be open to those who have not been with us, and they're a little bit behind or a lot behind. You might want to call them the normies, and those folks that are just now realizing what they've been, what's going on. So it's a balance. We have to, I don't know how you go full speed ahead on what we got to get done, and at the same time slow down in a sense for those who haven't caught up yet. That's going to be tricky.
Oh, we're just going to give them the fire hose just like we got. Come on now. I will say this. I wouldn't go backwards, but there is sort of that really painful transition phase. And I know mine lasted a couple of months where I couldn't be around my friends because it was just what I would look around and I'm like, this isn't real. Like, none of this is real. This is all built on a facade. Right. So I couldn't wrap my brain around. And then I was looking at my friends and I'm like, these are the people that I've curated over the last 30, 40 years. And, I respect them. They're smart and they're, great and fun and well-rounded and all that stuff. But they're looking at me like I have lost my mind. And, you just don't have anybody there to kind of corroborate with you. And so they're going to go through that same type of thing that we went through. I will say though, it was a weekend of Black women standing up for Black men, and I thought it was an absolutely beautiful thing. So I have a few more videos that I want to play, but before I do, guys, please repost the space. I want to welcome our streamers on Rumble and Pill.net, QUX, Kick.com, YouTube, and X Live. So, and then of course, all of our speakers and listeners. Let's dig into it. So hang on one second.
Hey, Kim. If there's anything you want to play, you want to send it over to Cyber?
Yeah, I'll send it over once I get this one playing.
Cool. Sounds good.
Thanks.
Barack ain't never did a fuck ass thing for niggas. And this message is for Barack ain't never did a fuck ass thing for niggas in the 8 years he was in the White House ever Obama. Keep Black men's name out your motherfucking mouth. We not about to do that. That's what we not about to do. And I'm a black woman that's not playing with your motherfucking ass, Mr. Biracial. Okay? You ain't did a fuck ass thing for us in the 8 years that you was in the White House. And you think you gonna pop up during an election year and try to scold black men for not wanting to vote for your candidate? Have you lost your fucking mind? I need you to go back into whatever cave and hole you fucking came out of and stay there. You're not about to come out and try to disrespect black men. We're not about to fucking do that. And this is a black ass woman telling you that. It's not happening. I'm not going for it. If you thought that I was going to hop on a bandwagon and be like, yeah, tell them, fuck no. Be quiet. Be quiet. There are millions of people in this country that are not voting for Kamala, and it's her motherfucking fault. Every time she opens her mouth, bullshit flies out. Teleprompter, no teleprompter. It's all bullshit. We know she was raised in a middle-class family. We don't give a fuck. The last 4 years have been hell for us. And you sitting over there with your millions of dollars and you're going to reemerge, come out of hiding when they need you, and then you're going to point your motherfucking finger at black men? It's not motherfucking happening. What Iyanla said, not on my watch. Not on my watch. Take your ass back to the hole you crawled out of with that big ass wife you got and leave us the fuck alone. Period. We shouldn't have voted for your motherfucking ass during the 8 years that you was there. A lot of my people was blinded by the fact that you came out as a dark-skinned man. And they took that and they ran with it. But people are waking the fuck up, and we don't care about color right now. Because people are hungry, and the grocery stores is high as hell. And we have inflation. And we have motherfuckers coming into this country getting more money than the people who have been affected by hurricanes. So we don't give a fuck about what you gotta say. All right? Go back to where you came from and keep black men's name out of your motherfucking mouth. Thank you.
I love her.
Damn, she laid it out, yo.
Yeah, she did.
Hilarious.
I'll put that one down in the chat, and I also put the other one down in the bubble as well for you guys. I like to bookmark. This is out of my bookmark that is called Based AF. So I got lots of good stuff in here from the weekend. Here is another lady. I'll play this one, and then Adam, I'll get it back to you.
Democrats in the mainstream media still lying about the Republicans not passing the bill. So I ran across this clip from MSNBC with 60 House Democrats that are urging Mike Johnson to reconvene Congress to pass a bill for the hurricane relief. Y'all take a look at this.
Meanwhile, in Washington, more than 60 House Democrats have signed on to a letter urging Speaker Mike Johnson to, quote, immediately call Congress back into session to pass more disaster funding. But Johnson so far is not budging.
So I want y'all to pay attention that they said House Democrats. That's going to be important later. Now, Speaker Mike Johnson responded to this claim. Take a look.
Mr. Speaker, was it a mistake to leave and adjourn the Congress for the campaign trail without addressing more disaster relief funding given the circumstances that we now find ourselves in?
Well, the fact is, I think that many people have not fully understood is that we did address it, and we did appropriate $20 billion additional dollars to FEMA with early drawdown authority. So they're sitting on a giant pile of cash, and they haven't used it yet. As of Monday of this week, the Biden administration had only sent out about 1% of those dollars. They'd only distributed 1%. So there's plenty of money to address the immediate needs, and that's what we're counting on them and calling upon them to do.
So the bill that Speaker House Mike Johnson is referring to is the appropriated bill, which funding is allocated to each department for each fiscal year. So in this case, the government fiscal year is different than just thinking about it annually. Their fiscal year starts on October 1st through September 30th. That is their entire fiscal year. The bill that he's talking about that they passed is HR 8752, which they had already passed this bill in the House on June 28th, 2024. Within this bill, various federal departments are allocated funding. So in this case, with the disaster relief fund, they allocated over $22 billion that had passed the House. Now, remember that the majority in the House is Republicans. Now, the funny thing about all of this is that they're on the news saying that the Republicans are the ones that shot down the bill. Well, let's really take a look at that. So as you can see here on the roll call, you had about 207 Republicans that voted yay, but you had 197 Democrats that said nay. So who really shot down the funding? I'm just asking. So now that we have established that the House actually did pass the appropriation bill for 2025, now it's left up to the Senate. And who rules the Senate? The Democrats. And who is president of this current Senate? Your Vice President, Kamala Harris. So who really needs to pass the bill and come back to Congress? Just asking. So you may ask, why are they doing this? And why did Mayorkas get on the news in the mainstream media and say that FEMA doesn't have enough funding to make it through this season? I'm going to tell you why. Because Trump showed up before any of the government showed up with supplies, food, oil, money, anything. And he was boots on the ground on September 30th. And the optics made them look bad. So now they got to spin the story because it's an election year. Now, while Trump was on the ground, this is what Biden had to say during this time on the same day, September 30th.
And the hurricane, Mr. President, why weren't you and Vice President Harris here in Washington commanding this weekend?
I was debated. I was on the phone for at least 2 hours yesterday and the day before as well. I commanded to call a telephone. This is open security.
Now, mind you, this is the government. They knew a whole week in advance that this hurricane was about to hit. And so did Mayorkas. And they knew that the House and the Congress was in session that last week of September because they passed the 9747 bill that also extended funding. Why didn't Mayorkas speak up then? So even before Mayorkas got on the mainstream media and claimed that FEMA didn't have enough money to make it through this season, they knew they had executive drawdown power. As Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson said, this means that by executive power, they can allocate funding immediately to the designated disaster areas. These disaster areas was declared after October 1st. Some before then, but mostly after October 1st, which means that you are now in a new fiscal year. So this $20 billion does apply to this disaster. But I find it funny on September 26th, he did an executive drawdown for Ukraine. President Biden has done over 55 executive drawdowns for funding allocated to Ukraine. This means that the funding can get to wherever it needs quickly, as I stated before. So instead of them focusing on the health and the disasters that were about to hit our nation and our country, they focused on foreign affairs. And then it came back to bite them because Trump showed up immediately after the disaster happened. So all you Democrats that are running out there and trying to bash us for speaking up and standing on the truth, this is what we mean that this administration puts Americans last. Y'all have a good day.
I love the way she laid that out. So what are we going to do about this? I watched the Bundy versus Deep State thing today that Mindy Robinson put out. That was crazy. I mean, the federal government basically does not own the land that they sold out from underneath the people of Nevada. And the guy that uncovered that was poisoned to death. Like he died August 24th, right at the beginning of the RNC. So if you guys haven't watched that yet, I'll put that down in the chat. But it's just crazy. And the director of that is this guy that they tried to frame for the attempted assassination at Coachella this weekend. So we've got some mess going on there. Have you gotten a chance to watch that, Adam?
No. To be honest, I didn't hear much about the Coachella situation. Like, what happened? Fill me in, because I heard some rumblings of a third attempt and didn't really much hear other than that about it. So what do you know what happened, if you don't mind?
So they stopped this guy, or he was at a checkpoint quarter-mile from the venue, and supposedly he had a fake VIP pass and press pass. And then he also had illegal guns, which I guess in the state of California, all guns are illegal. I don't know. But so he's from Vegas. He actually is Mindy Robinson's partner at America. Is it America Happens? So they, I mean, I think that they're trying to frame him. Like Mindy was, very, she put out a bunch of posts because they just dropped this Bundy versus Deep State thing, and it uncovers that the federal government never owned the land that they basically sold. It also shows that Harry Reid was selling part of that land, or he was giving it to the Native Americans, and then the Native Americans were then selling it to China. So it's like this whole big thing. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Bundy Ranch.
Yeah, I heard about that situation.
Yeah, so they dropped the documentary. I mean, Mindy Robinson, she's great with her documentaries. So it's, I highly encourage everybody to go out and watch it. I'll put that down in the chat as well. As soon as I.
So in other words, use discernment in regards to this situation.
Yeah, I mean, Mindy
could be
is
a setup, could be whatever. We gotta find out more, right?
Right, and
give it the Bongino rule.
right. Well, and it's been since Saturday, right? So, but Mindy immediately was out posting, obviously. So, like I said, I went out and watched it. He's the director of it, and it's awfully suspicious that they're trying to rope this guy in very weird circumstances. What do you think, Chris?
Also, just real quick, they got that militia thing going on in North Carolina that they're claiming, that militia are hunting FEMA workers. No, it's not the case. Sounds like propaganda.
I wish they would just go home. They should just go home.
Just go home. No, nobody.
We don't need you, FEMA. Just go home.
Well, no, I mean they need somebody to stand there and take orders for meals ready to eat.
That's not what they're doing, though. They don't even know. They can't even do that right.
But I think I want to wish everybody a happy IP Day. Although it's really Columbus Day, so let's not forget the Italians. It's
it's Indigenous People Day.
Oh, I thought you meant like Ip Man from like China. The guy that did the Wing Chun. That guy is my favorite. Like I love Ip Man.
They
watch all the movies. Sorry.
The indigenous populace is the American Indians or Native Americans, and for some reason they feel that Christopher Columbus, who by every story that I've ever told and every piece of history that's ever been found, never made it to the North American continent.
Exactly.
He stopped in the West Indies, where incidentally there were no North American Native Americans hanging out, and because he supposedly was guilty of all these crimes, they decided to take away his holiday.
Well, Chris, wasn't it the island of Hispaniola, I believe he landed on? And the guy that discovered America as far as European would be Amerigo Vespucci, which is why it's called America. Amerigo. All right.
And so, that's arguably an Italian name too, but the full credit belongs to the Vikings, but nobody's going to do that.
Yeah, they were in the Northeast, right? Canada.
So I think that, not only have they pissed off the Italians, that they pissed off the Spanish, because the Spanish are the ones that paid for the trip. Queen Isabella financed it because, the Italians didn't have any money. Only a liberal government could insult two of our most valuable allies by taking away a holiday that has been here, for a really long time. I mean, I made an argument earlier that, if you want to give them a holiday, give them Thanksgiving, because at least the Indians were there. And at least the Indians, prevented, a lot of folks that came over here from starving early on. So there's a story there to be told, at the first Thanksgiving, because, the Indians were around. But I think that if you're going to give them a day, give them a day. Instead, you come up with this ridiculous holiday called Juneteenth, which it's a shame that the people in Texas didn't tell the slaves that the war ended for, I don't know, was it 2 years? Some ridiculous thing. And so they create a national holiday for the sins of one state.
Well, hey, I have no problem recognizing it,
And
personally.
there have been a lot
It is what it is.
There have been a lot of sins in this country against a lot of people. And creating a national holiday out of guilt is, we need a national holiday for Election Day.
Yeah, I agree with that. But out of guilt, I don't think so. That's a mark of freedom.
Well, I understand that, but you created a holiday out of guilt when you could have created a national holiday for the purpose of solving a problem on Election Day. And and it's not like,
I say do both. Why not, Chris?
Well, because it's a paid holiday. If you wanted to just say, okay, I'm gonna decree that Juneteenth forevermore will be recognized as a day of remembrance, then that's fine.
It's a final ending where a state was left behind compared to the rest of the states were freedmen.
Yeah, but Adam,
and one state was left behind, and that date commemorates that mark of freedom. I personally
Adam,
have
that's
no
fine.
issue with that.
Okay, but when you attach the pay of all the federal employees to that it's a very different thing. We used to have a holiday called Lincoln's birthday, and we had a holiday called Washington's birthday. Okay, and then they decided that they were going to combine those two, and they were going to make a holiday called for Martin Luther King. All right, that's fine.
Why do we pay people at all on a day off? Enjoy the day off. That's you don't have to work for a day. You get a long weekend. enjoy it. Why do we have
That's
to pay
not a
you?
day off if you don't get paid.
What, Juneteenth?
No.
Do you get off on Juneteenth?
No, I don't get off on Juneteenth. But they tell you that you can observe it just like the Jewish holidays.
But you get paid. You get paid for Juneteenth though.
Yeah,
because
I
you
don't
work.
Yeah, because I work. But they also they treat Juneteenth the same way that they do the Jewish holidays, right? Like you don't get paid time off for those either.
The federal government does. The federal government doesn't get paid time off for the Jewish holidays. They get paid for Christmas.
Right. Somebody call the ADL right away.
They don't get paid for Juneteenth.
Yeah, they do. It's
and
a
they get
paid holiday.
I have it as a holiday at my work now.
That was the argument that they didn't want to make it a paid holiday, and Biden made it a paid holiday. They pushed it through. I mean, I don't have any problem recognizing it. You know, I think it was a really bad thing. I don't know how many people were affected, but think about all the people that were interred for 4 years, which was longer than 2 years, that were in basically prison camps that were Chinese Americans. They didn't get a holiday. They didn't get a holiday called.
Was it the Chinese or Japanese? I thought it was Japanese.
Or Japanese, right? Yeah, they didn't get a holiday called Origami Day or whatever the hell you want to call it, because they're sitting there making paper dolls and shit. What do you want?
They got a freaking.
They got reparations.
Well, I mean, I agree that.
But they were interned. Like basically. I mean, some of those people were born here. A lot of them, actually. Some of them were born in the camps.
Well, God bless America for, getting us to where we are, before all this indentured servitude by debt that the government has created. But, at least we're past all that. America was the icebreaker. It's a beautiful thing about it. And the thing is we're under, creeping toward tyranny now, where we're all going to be slaves. So unless everybody recognizes we're going to be on the road to serfdom. So wake up, vote for Donald Trump in 2024. Got about 20 days left. Let's get it done.
Let me help you out here. You have a bunch of closed military bases all around this country. And they can be turned into internment camps really quickly.
Oh, FEMA's been building camps for a hot minute. Nothing new. Since the Alex Jones days of 2011.
They've got hundreds of thousands of children in these camps.
That's what it looks like with the turnstiles. Remember back in the day, they were doing, walkthroughs and basically investigating it. This was back in 2011, 2012, when FEMA started kicking up, and it looked like internment camps. The turnstile doors, the cells, pretty much. It's scary stuff, and it's that's why we got merchandise. F you, FEMA.
Well, so just kind of going back to what we're the whole thing with the Bundy Ranch and, what's going on with our federal government and the Bureau of Land Management, what they've been doing, the land grabs, been selling to China through Native Americans. I mean, all of this kind of stuff. There used to be 50 ranching families in Nevada, and now the Bundys are the only ones that are doing cattle ranching left in that state. That's crazy.
Really?
Yeah. And they, I mean, the reason that the government has gone after them is because they are completely self-sufficient. It's all family members that work there and, ranch the land, and the government has been trying to take their land from them. And when they took them to court, this 1866 act or something, like there was a land bill that proved that the government didn't own the land for the whole for all of Clark County, so all of the Vegas Strip, everything, and they sold the land fraudulently, and they've been mining gold and silver out of that land, and all of that belongs to the people of Nevada. So they dropped the case because they were going to use that.
Yeah, and then they went and arrested the Bundys.
Right.
And held them in prison and in really bad conditions. And then you had the whole Oregon Wildlife Preserve up in the Alvord Desert. And that's where Lavoy Finicum got killed, where they were trying to drive out of the compound, telling the agents that they had kids in the car. And they open fire on the car. Lavoy gets out, puts his hands up, and starts walking back towards with his hands up, and they blow him away right there on national television.
Yeah, I mean, the level of just complete and total fraud that's going on, these land grabs are absolutely, totally illegal. And they're continuing to do it. And then using Native Americans as sort of the straw man and selling it to the Chinese.
Well, and also they co-opt the local governments, right? So in the case of the Rockefellers and my family's estate, right, that was over 500 acres. They co-opted the local government. They up your taxes to the point where I think at one point we were paying $150,000 a year just in land taxes, not including everything else. We tried to sell the mineral rights on the property, wouldn't allow it. They completely, literally co-opt the local governments. So then the people who are supposed to help you as the landowner in America are no longer working for you. They're working for the elite, the environmentalist groups, right? And because this spotted freaking frog lives there, we have to, the people don't matter as much as the spotted frog that has its habitat there.
Now, let's not be down on the spot.
Well, sorry. I was just going to say that, that's the other thing, is that these environmental groups, right? We just saw this weekend where the Republicans in the Senate came out and said that we've been investigating the EPA and their spending and these grants, and they found $3 billion worth of grant money that's being put onto that's being given to these climate extremists.
Let's call it what it is. It's not grant money. It's taxpayer dollars, right?
Exactly.
They throw grant money on there to make it lessen the impact, so people won't realize your tax dollars are going to fund environmental extremists who are breaking the law and using violent tactics to get their point across.
Hi, Jen.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Congratulations on your power.
Thank you. Damn. Living in 1847 was not cool, people. Not cool at all. And then I get up this morning to go to the bathroom, and I'm sitting there and I'm oh my God, the light's on. Who turned the light on? I'm holy shit, the light is on. And I started screaming. It was the best day ever.
This is going to be a hell of a time. Hello, good evening, afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, Shay.
How are you?
Hi, I was just wanted to jump in just because I was inspired. Talking about the theft, okay? Chris, did they ever tell you sound like Pat Robertson? That's who you sound like to me from the 700 Club.
I've been told Bill Clinton a lot, but not Pat Robertson. I must be getting old.
You sounded like him, but he was a good guy.
No, it's that holy water at church, Chris.
The holy water.
I've been dipping too deep, Jen.
Nothing wrong with that, though. But I wanted to say, I was just thinking while you were talking, Jen, about how they stole 130 acres from my great grandparents. And that's in Florida. And so I'm thinking I'm just thinking of going back in history as an Aboriginal. We call ADOS Aboriginal, Black American, Natives, and all of that in one. And, how we're suffering now. And now they're saying there's millions of land that was stolen. And so all of this is suffering up right now. I don't know what God is going to do, but something's going to come out of this. This is I know it's a historical election, but a lot of truth is being manifested, so there's going to be some really angry people. And so, but we need to be compensated for, right, you guys, right, Jen? And so,
I'm getting my land back, Shay.
Yeah,
I'm getting
that's
that land
good.
back.
That's really good, but it took hard work to get it back. And, nothing comes easy. And, there is a fight on our hands. And there's a lot of different groups also merging now as we speak out of all of this. And so now you have... Yes, go ahead.
One thing I want to add to that, Shay, but if you have God and the truth on your side, ain't nothing going to stop you, right?
That's
and what these people did was illegal, and it was against God's law and right liberty and the pursuit of happiness or property or whatever the hell it is, right? When you have that on your side, no matter what's standing in front of you, it's not even an obstacle.
That's right. I like that one. That's right. I'm inspired again. Yeah. The truth. That's what I put in the comments, the truth. And the truth. So what? Make us free. And so, but the thing is that there's a lot of, we have intruders on the land too. So I don't know, this thing is going to go some kind of way haywire. I don't know what their agenda is. It's going to get ugly. And so I just pray that God's children be covered, because they're going to get very vicious, and it's dirty out here. That's all I can say. And it's going to get crazy. Like I said, there's different groups merging and gangs and all types of stuff. And to me, I think they want to make it I don't know if you guys ever seen the movie Gangs of New York. Yeah, that was crazy. And that was political also, although that really happened. And I kind of know one of the the descendants of the 5-star, not to get into that, but it seemed like that's where they're trying to bring it. A lot of different fights on the front at one time, which will be crazy. But that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Yeah, but I think that the American people are wising up to the, what they're doing. I mean, what they've done to us, the division that they've sowed. And as more people are becoming aware, and we were kind of talking about this a little bit earlier before everybody got in here, is that, there's this frustration, right? Because people are finally like, oh, I get it now, kind of thing, right? And then you're frustrated with them, but you're also happy that they're finally getting it. So you're walking this fine line of, you've got to be patient with them, even though you're kind of like, I can't believe it took you this long, kind of thing. So I think that we can do it without any harm. I mean, I think we can. I think we can be peaceful in our way of doing this, but that will entail the American people coming together and being united completely so that we can fight off the foreign invasion that we've got going on, and the complete and total criminals that we have running our government right now. The biggest thing, though, is that, and we're seeing this with North Carolina, is that we need to show each other that we don't need the government, that we can do this on our own.
So my question to you is, I don't know if anybody heard this. I'm sure someone has heard this on the chat, that the French Europeans or something, they're getting together to fight against America. I don't know if anybody has heard that.
I freaking dare them.
French?
Of course, French.
Come on, the French are known for surrendering. Okay, let's go. Come on, like bring it. Like, are you like the French? Really?
Yes. Yep. And I heard there's forces coming from
against, like, they can't even band together against Macron, who like is obviously a globalist. And like when we talk about like, oh well, what is their agenda? I mean, I guess there's a couple parts of it, right? One is exactly what Klaus Schwab said with the WEF: you will own nothing and you'll be happy, right? While we are living in these 15-minute cities, the rich and the elite are going to be living in these beautiful land banks in these beautiful parts of the country, where they don't have to be, bothered with swine like us. Like we're kept in our 15-minute cities, and we live under this global governance where there's constant surveillance, where there's one world religion, one world government, one world financial center. We own nothing, and we're going to be happy about it. I mean, I guess that's their, and they want to decrease the population down to like 500 million or something ridiculous.
Which is why they're attacking our ranchers, right? They're attacking our ranchers and our farmers, because if they can...
anything. So how do you control a population, right? You control the minerals, you control the water, and you control like their ability to move, right? And if you look, all of these places that are having these natural disasters, quote unquote natural disasters, right? What do they have under them? They're mineral rich, right? They have resources that the world needs in order to go around, and they can't have private people having the ability to have rights to those minerals, right? They can't have private people having access to headwaters of major rivers, right? So they have to go up and swoop all of this shit up, right? And put it under their little groups, where they're controlling all of the resources, minerals, water. And then this way we're also desperate, right? Because we won't be able to like farm and have food, right? That's why they poison the seeds through Monsanto, is that they want us completely dependent on the government. And there's no way that we could ever provide for ourselves without asking daddy government to give us a check.
And we have so many recalls, it's unbelievable. Like that's never happened like this before. And one of my friend's pets died from after eating Friskies, her cat. So this is really on the attack, and I don't know.
Oh yeah, you remember when all the pets were dying? When all the pet food was like
before the immigrants started eating the pets.
Yeah.
And now the food is being poisoned. It really is.
Oh yeah, I mean, if anybody hasn't checked out Senator Ron Johnson's roundtable that he did on the food in America, and how these big companies, they basically hired the scientists from the cigarette companies to make our food addictive, and they produce the same things without all of the chemicals in them for Europe. So they're feeding us the shit, and then they're giving the good food to Europe. So I'm not too worried about the French, but we got a lot of other people that have invaded our soil, that the government is trying to hide from us, or basically say.
You mean the fighting aged male Africans that have been flooding through Lukeville, Arizona?
And the
ones who are saying they're coming here to fight in our military. Oh, those ones?
Yeah, those would be the ones. The ones that we're making into cops.
Way. That doesn't exist. That's fake news.
Right, exactly. So we do need people to
For
wake
all
up.
the slow people in the audience, I was joking. No need to tweet out that I'm supporting the immigrants. Thank you.
Illegal aliens, not immigrants.
Exactly. There's
Illegal
no
alien criminals, if we want to be
Criminal.
technical.
Yes. Yes. And you know that affected our exports, our agricultural exports, as far as Monsanto, because Europe wasn't accepting our what would be to them imports from America because of Monsanto, and they were organic and non-GMO over there, while we sit here in America and eat shit and feed into big pharma. You know, basically with the illnesses and diseases caused by this poison. You know, the Roundup, the glycophosphate, you know, just adds to it and adds to disease, cancer, and all the above. And, you know, that feeds into big pharma's pockets as well. So
yeah, if you go back and you look at pictures from the 1960s, and Robert Kennedy mentioned it this weekend on his space, but he's like, if you go back and you look at a group picture from the 1960s, or look at advertisement back then, you will not find a obese person. And then if you were to take that same type of picture now with that many people in it, like 85% of the people will be obese. And we know now that it used to be 1 in 10,000 kids had autism. Now it's 1 in 36.
And they were promoting it, Kim. And you know, seeing Lizzo lose weight and being proud of it is a good thing. You know, like I applaud her. Good. You know.
Not on Ozempic, though. I mean, you shouldn't be taking poison.
Oh, she took the shots.
I don't know. I mean, if you get the gastric bypass, you do any of this stuff that is not natural, you are just feeding into the problem. And it's not like it takes away your hunger or your addiction. It just makes it so that you can't shovel as much into your stomach, right? So, and the Ozempic, it actually paralyzes your stomach, which is very dangerous, and you have to take it for the rest of your life. It's extremely expensive. They are making a ton of money off of it, and it makes you sick. It is for diabetics, not for weight loss.
I thought she was working on her fitness like Fergie or something, you know? Like, that's shameful. I feel bad for her. Sorry.
She may have done it the right way. I don't know. But I'm saying that most people, when they lose that vast amount of weight, they're doing it with Ozempic right now. Like, that's the new thing, because the freaking pharmaceutical companies are making money hand over fist with this stuff. It is super expensive. And now the government is going to be paying for it for Medicare and Medicaid or whatever. So that's just a whole nother racket going on. We have so many things that this government is doing wrong. And it's because they're illegitimate. They don't have to abide by the Constitution. They've already broken the law by getting into office. They are not being held to the Constitution at all. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I didn't want to interrupt the conversation, but we've been going a little over an hour, and I just thought maybe it'd be a good time to reset the room a little bit and give a shout out to Kelly and all of our streamers. And maybe you can help me out with that.
I sure can. Welcome, everybody. Please repost the space. We're just having our nice weekend recap, Manic Monday, so we can get out all of our grievances, because, this is our therapy. So welcome, everybody, on Rumble and Pill.net, QUX, Kick.com, YouTube, X Live, and of course our listeners in Spaces. We sure appreciate you guys, and please make sure you're following America Mission. That's the flag, the host, and check out our cool stuff that we got on our new website.
Brand new article today, right?
Yes, we do. We're talking about
about that petition as well. Please bring that up.
Yes, so we have a new article, and that's our Faces of Tyranny series, and Mike Milo wrote an article about John Kerry. He's our latest villain, and I read that this morning and was super duper triggered. This guy is just a real piece of work. I think that, he really ushered in making our State Department a terrorist organization, because let's just call it what it is. You've got the EPA that's got they've got more weapons than most of our military units. They've got anti-tank machines, weapons. They've got all kinds of stuff. Why does the EPA have weapons? Why is the Inspector General of the EPA scared to death of their criminal arm of their agency? Why do they have a criminal arm of the agency? Don't we have other departments that can handle the criminality of whatever they run into? Shouldn't we be bringing somebody else in? All of these different agencies shouldn't have their own freaking police. What is going on here?
Well, he's a skull and bones occult globalist, you know. That's John Kerry. He's just like George Bush, you know, and his son. Evil. So, did you hear, what's it called? Bill Clinton endorsed Trump today? God, I do have the clip to play if you want me to play it, Kim.
Yeah, go for it. I'm going to be stepping away for just a second, so I'll be back.
Sounds good. Let's go ahead and play it real quick.
You had a case in Georgia not very long ago, didn't you? They made an ad about a young woman who'd been killed by an immigrant. Yeah, well, if they'd all been properly vetted, that probably wouldn't have happened. But if they're all properly vetted and that doesn't happen, and America is not having enough babies to keep our populations up, so we need immigrants that have been vetted to do work, there wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, so there he is. He's saying it.
Totally agree with you, Bill. Right? It's not that we hate immigrants, right? But like, we have to get a handle on A, who's in the country, how did they get here, are they here legally? And we do have to look at the legal immigration process. Right? The fact that it's taking good people who are law-abiding wannabe citizens, right, 10, 15, 20 years in order to get citizenship, right, when you have illegals hopping the Rio Grande and coming into the country, that seems a little unfair, right? And that people who break the law are put before the people who are actually trying to follow the law. Right. So it's not just like, oh, we don't want immigrants here. Like, that's ridiculous. I'm sorry. Right. Like, look at how our country was founded. Right. And people do bring really great things into this country. Right. We want to grow as a country, but the way we're doing it now cannot be done. Right. And the fact that they are prioritizing people who are breaking the law is absolutely ridiculous. Like, why does Adam have to go through so much shit to be an American citizen when here he is day in and day out hosting spaces, trying to save America, doing all he's doing more than most of the country, yet he has to go show up at some freaking meeting to be like, yes, I am being a good citizen, right? Like, this is ridiculous. And I hate when people are like, oh, we don't want immigrants here. Like, no, because that's not right either. Like, can we not find a happy balance here?
Thanks for the kind words.
No amnesty. Oh, sorry. Go, Adam.
No, I was just going to say thanks for the kind words, Jen. I appreciate it. You know, like, regardless of what occurs, you know, after, you know, people are like, oh, you know, like, you're worried about Trump and he's going to deport people. No, I'm cool. I got a judge's order. You know, like a Supreme Court judge's order. So, like, I'm chill. But, you know, the people coming here, and I came here legally, so I'm not worried about anything. But the people that came here across the border illegally, that's a crime in itself. And sorry, that's not how you enter. That's not how you go through the process. My mother went through the process. She's a U.S. citizen, you know, and my brother's a natural born citizen as well. So, in that regard, you know, like, my whole family and my dad, if he lived a month longer, he would have been a U.S. citizen. But, you know.
Well, Adam, but we cannot adhere to these, like, so what the Biden administration done in some senses, like Haiti, probably some, you know, Palestinian refugees that found their way to America, right, is that they, like, changed the law to be like, oh, no, those people are here because they're refugees, right? Or the ones that showed up at the border who were like, I'm here because I don't have LGBTQ rights in that, right? I truly am. But like, that's not an excuse, right? So some of the excuses that have been given to the people in the past 3 years, right? Those also need to be relooked at, right? Like, yes, do we want immigrants to come to America? But dude, we're full. We can't even take care of our own people. We have veterans. We have people up in the mountains of North Carolina who are getting $750 for their entire freaking lives. While you have over here, oh, well, we need to prioritize these people to get FEMA aid because they have a different skin color, right? You know what was amazing yesterday? We had to wait in a line at the Wawa, right? And I look behind us and there's a freaking Bentley sitting in the Wawa gas line with all of us plebes, right? And I'm sitting here and I'm like, you know what? That's true equality right there. You want to see equality? Go sit in a gas line, because at that point, you all are equal. If you don't get gas, your car's not going to drive, and no matter how much money you got, you can't get gas. Right? So maybe we should start thinking like that instead of prioritizing our differences and realizing like, wow, we're all kind of in the same shit boat that's sinking.
Go ahead, Chris. Jump on in. The water's warm.
I don't know. It's kind of sounds like a pretty hot tub to me. Hard to follow Jen.
You raised your hand. You asked for it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
She drops the mic, and it's like, how do you follow up?
I'm just, yeah. I was going to talk about the bait fish in California, but that seems wholly unimportant. You know, when you're trying to follow that, I think that we have really serious issues. I think Bill Clinton, unlike his estranged wife, is a pragmatist. You know, he recognizes that if you want to get anything done politically, that you have to take advantage of the people who are willing to work with you, even though you're, the people that are there are people you can't stand, and you know that those people can't stand you. Bill Clinton, for whatever he's worth, was a pretty brilliant politician, and he didn't have a failed presidency, unlike the one we're living under now. He managed to rebound every time that he was taken down, and
balance the budget.
Unlike Obama, okay, after he lost the House because of Hillary care, he learned his lesson. He learned his lesson. Okay, he didn't go back to the well. He moved on and decided that there were bigger fish to fry, and decided that he was going to work with the Republicans on things like welfare to work. And he vetoed that 3 times before he signed it, and then he ended up getting credit for it. So which is fine. Nobody really cares who got credit for it, but it got done until Obama came to office, and then he undid it. So it's not surprising to me that you're hearing words come out of Bill Clinton's mouth that sound like common sense. It's not surprising to me that Bill and Hillary Clinton are not on the same page. And even though he was sitting on the same couch when Hillary, threw her support behind Kamala, I somehow don't think that he was on board, because his version of the Democratic Party never looked anything like what it looks like now.
Hillary's trying to she's busy front running the Pizzagate thing.
So Bill's got his own problems. He's got ticket stubs that are all over Epstein's airplane.
Okay, but listen, we got to point out one thing, Chris. Okay, Hillary is so awful. Bill didn't even choose her. Okay, and that's really saying something.
You're exactly right.
I mean, she's the only name that's tied to all three of these really, really bad blackmail schemes: Epstein, Pizzagate, and Diddy. She's in all three.
Hatygate.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Bill literally went on an anybody but Hillary tour.
He's a beaten, battered man.
I got a nice match.
I'm not going to be like some Tammy Wynette and stand by my man.
I will tell you this. If I had a choice between cookies prepared by Hillary Clinton and Paula Jones, I'm going for Paula Jones every time.
Duh.
Guys, have I told the space my new conspiracy theory? I have a new one, even though it's not a conspiracy space, but here we go. So remember the movie, the apparent movie that we might have heard of called Frazzle Drip? Okay. What if Frazzle Drip took place at a Diddy party? I think that would be like the best thing that could ever happen. Because like then it all just wraps into one bow and we could all just, deal with it.
We just got to get more people arrested than just Diddy. And by the way, that Muhammad, what is his name?
Guy with the border.
Lehan Muhammad or whatever his name is.
No, it's Fahim.
Fahim, that's it. Fahim Muhammad, his name is coming up all over the place now. So they got their other fall guy. I mean, not that he wasn't doing really, really bad stuff, but there's got to be more than just Fahim.
He's not a fall guy. He's way too powerful to be a fall guy.
Well, Kanye's name just came up also with his secretary. Yep. That she got something to drink and he assaulted her sexually and at the Diddy party.
Yeah, but the new thing is I don't. Sorry, got a phone call. 2 seasons ago on Keeping Up with the Kardashians, right? Kanye went on this tour, right? Because there was apparently more videos of Kim and Ray J, like when they did their little sexcapade, right? Well, it makes no sense because all of those footage is out there and it's a sex tape, right? Like how much more can you add to it, right? All the videos are out there, even if there's extended footage, all right, whatever. Is it really that big of a deal? But Kanye goes on this huge tour. He gets these hard drives, right? They kept saying hard drives in the thing. And Kanye gets a hold of the hard drives and he brings them back to Kim. And Kim breaks down crying. This is the moment of her life. She has kids now. She doesn't want them to know that there was a sex tape, except the Kim and Ray J sex tape is out there so far that you're never going to be able to put that shit back in Pandora's box, right? So what if those tapes were Kim at Diddy parties, right? And that was a shot across the bow at like them to be like, oh, well, you think you got dirt on us. Well, we're powerful enough to get the tapes back.
I mean, the stuff with Courtney and Justin Bieber coming back up, like Rain.
No, and that kid looks exactly like Justin Bieber.
Exactly like him. And I mean, he was 22, she was 36. And I mean, God knows what they did to him when he was young. The whole thing, again.
Yeah, but Kim had him down in the Virgin Islands at 16 doing the graduate photo shoot. Right. Yeah. And even Kris Jenner, right, when they told her about it, Kris Jenner turns around, she goes, how old is Justin? Right? Like, she was even like, dude, what are you doing?
The fact of the matter is that our federal government is making decisions without informing the American people. I mean, we're just totally, been lied to. We've been completely run over and poisoned. But this blackmail ring, you've got three of them, right? You got your Pizzagate, you got your Diddy, and you got your Epstein.
No, Kim. See, that's where people are getting it wrong. It's not three separate rings. It's all the same ring. It's just different tentacles of the same exact ring, right? You had Epstein, who was the blackmail guy for the elite business financial world, right? You have Diddy, who is the blackmail guy for the rap music industry, who signed contracts with the private military industrial complex in order to make the rap lyrics, right? Freaking gangbanger, fuck bitches, like, get this, get that, right? In order to ingrain that in the minds of young, impressionable kids, right? To go out and act like gangbangers in order to get arrested to feed the military industrial complex, right?
Whether they're white, black, or
same racket. And that's why everyone's wondering the RICO charge. And they're thinking that, like, oh, this is Diddy, but like, is it really just Diddy? Right? Because now you have Homeland Security involved. Because if it was just Diddy, why the hell is Homeland Security involved? What's the threat to the homeland?
Right. And then you've got the property that comes into the mix. And so, but what I'm saying is that our government has been making policies and making decisions and doing all of this stuff under the threat of blackmail. Like, they have all been blackmailed. They are all corrupt. They have all been compromised. And yet they have been allowed to make decisions for this country to represent the American people. And I feel like at some point, the American people have to be like, you do not represent us. You are not, like, we need to put them on an island. I don't know what we need to do with them, but they need to get the hell out of our government. Like, we have got to get them out.
Well, DC runs, right? Go back to Dustin's Substack that he wrote right after January 6th, right? That DC runs on honeypots and blackmail, right? You have people who send hot chicks into parties where they know Congress people are going to be. The Congress people can't keep their dicks in their pants, right? And they go out with the hot girls and they record everything, right? And then the honeypots go back and they report to whoever they're working for, and they're like, hey, I got XYZ. Then the people in charge go to the congressmen and the senators and they're like, oh, hey, remember this? Look at these photos. Look at that. Look at what we have you on video of. You would not want this to get out to the American people. Now, would you? Oh, okay. You wouldn't. Okay. So now you work for us. Okay. And whatever we say jump, you say how high. Do you understand how this relationship is going to work now? Right? Like, that is what our country is running on. And that is actually what our world is running on to a larger scale, right? And the people that don't play ball are then labeled, oh, they're evil. These are the bad guys. We must go in and destroy them. And it's like, oh, well, you're doing it in the name of democracy, except we're not a freaking democracy. We're a constitutional republic. What don't you understand about that? And when they're like, oh, well, you're a dumbass, you're a magatard, you don't understand. No, see, I understand. The difference is democracy is mob rule. A constitutional republic is run by laws. It's run by laws, not mob rule. And see, you Democrats benefit by mob rule, which is why you want to get rid of the Electoral College. See, now doesn't it all make sense? KT, jump in here. Sorry, I'm ranting.
No, it was a wonderful rant. I'm catching up to what's going on with the Diddy situation. My first question right now is just who's leaking the photos? You guys saw the one with Leo and then the one with Justin Bieber sleeping with a guy. Like, you know, we saw this during the Hunter Biden laptop, and that kind of ties into as to what like Tim is accused of, like we're on the precipice of, if it can be, you know, really confirmed and break into the mainstream narrative, or we're so loud that it doesn't stop. But me just being where we are, I'm like, is this another thing that's going to be called Russian disinformation? And then we're all going to find out that he's a, you know, officially a weirdo after the fact, just like the Hunter Biden laptop. So a lot of things going on right now. But right now, my only question is who is leaking these photos?
Well, it could be a combination of things, right? It could be that, listen, Diddy's a gangster, right? At the end of the day, his actions, he is a gangster. Do you think he was the only gangster going to those parties? Like, do you not think that like, other rich celebrities would, you know, also like record things secretly and so to make sure their asses are covered? Like, maybe, probably. Are they leaking it? Maybe, right? Or is it the FBI/government/DOJ knowing that all of this is coming out, all of it's going to come out, and they're trying to soften the blow to the American people by like dripping certain things out so they can get like normalized to it, and then they like, you know, won't care anymore when the big stuff comes out?
I think we're still going to care when the Oprah stuff comes out.
But are we? How many pedophiles and like heads of like sex organizations were around Oprah, got caught, got like thrown in prison, and the American people and the collective like homemaker woman people who sit there and watch Oprah, we're all just like, oh, oops, must have been a bad guy. Next, what is Oprah doing this week? Right? Like, why don't you guys care? Right? Like, why don't people care that all these people were surrounded by these like weird sex freaks who were holding women hostage? Like, that just seems like something we should all, you know, kind of worry about. Like, and you're saying that like you were going to his retreats and like you were like spending time with him and you didn't notice that there was some weird shit happening? Or did you just like look the other way and are like, oh, I don't see it, I'm going to bed, good night? Right? And put your little like Bose headphones on and go to sleep and not worry that there are like women being assaulted, you know, in other rooms in the house you're in. Or were you participating and you're a sex freak too?
The silence kind of tells you the story already, in my opinion. I just don't feel like there's enough people, you know, is seemingly like speaking out. Like it should be condemned, you know. Oh, Trump says something and it's like he's got to condemn it 50 million freaking times just because that's like they won't let the narrative go. But how come every celebrity that's being like interviewed right now, the first question is not, okay, so are you a pedophile? Like, like that should be the first and only question. It's just like, and not let up. Like, you've been accused of being a pedophile. What do you have to say about that? Like, repetitiously until people get it that these people are freaks.
Well, if you go back and look at sorry.
So I just want to say, you know, like for the people actually doing it, it's one thing, right? You can point to those people and be like, wow, you are a freak. Like, there's something wrong with you. Maybe you got like a mental disorder. I don't know. You need to seek help. Maybe you're just straight up evil. Okay. That is one thing. The people who watched, knew it was happening, and especially the children, and didn't participate but knew it was happening and didn't say anything, those people are fucking evil. Evil. And if you had the power to do something about it and you didn't do anything about it, you are just as guilty as the people who actually committed it.
I 100% agree with that. And I think that when you go back and you look at the clips of what they were, like the inappropriate things that were said to Justin Bieber when he was young and all of that, you're right. I mean, they're trying to desensitize us to it, right? They're trying to sexualize us so that we are okay with the behavior. But when you go back and you watch it now, knowing what we know, it is disgusting.
So what do you think, prior to Joe Biden becoming president of the United States, there wasn't this massive movement toward transsexualism. Okay. You had
I
this,
disagree with that, Chris. It started with Obama.
yeah, but I mean, it went on steroids with Biden. You had it with I agree. You're exactly right. It did start with Obama, but it went on steroids here over the last short number of years, to the point where you actually saw the president of the United States from the East Room in the White House say that he was going to protect trans kids. Nobody ever believed that they would hear that statement come out of the mouth of a president of the United States. I mean, it's insane. Okay. So, this, your point to Obama, and then this acceleration with Biden is,
it was the election of Hillary Clinton, or it was the non-election of Hillary Clinton, right? Hillary Clinton. Oh, Bumbo, you got a hot mic. You want me to let you go? Bumbo.
I think he dropped down because he couldn't.
Oh, my mic wasn't hot.
Oh, there you go.
All right.
Okay. No,
So,
I would say it
go
was
ahead.
the non-election of Hillary Clinton, right? Is
Yeah.
that the progression was supposed to be Obama's policies transformed into Hillary Clinton's policies, right? And that's why they had Project 2021, right? And then all of a sudden when Trump got into office, it moved to Project like 2030 or whatever. And then Project 2020 or whatever. I don't even know. Anyways, they lost 4 years of their project, right? So when Biden gets into office, they know they have to put everything on steroids because they have to stop Trump, and they have to enact their protocols, their agenda, right, for the US and make up for those 4 years that they lost. And I think that's why we saw all of a sudden, like, you had like trannies at the White House topless, and like you're like, wait, what is happening right now on Easter? And you had all this like sex education stuff and the transing of children and the progression of pedos to maps of minor attracted people, right? Like that's something,
Yeah.
right? Like it was that loss of 4 years, and they're terrified they won't be able to enact their agenda and transform the world into this evil place that they want to. If Trump gets in, they're dead. The globalists are dead, and now like Trump can progress the nation back on track.
I don't disagree with any of that. My only point was this was the onslaught of the attempt of normalization to mask this. Is it was my only point. We have other hands, and so
go ahead, Bumbo.
Thanks, Jen. So, it occurs to me that if it wasn't for the moral fabric of MAGA women, we have such quality folks in our women assemblies or whatever. We could launch a substantial counteroffensive and capture the whole network in like a weekend. But except for the moral fabric of it all, I think it would be all over by Sunday night. Just saying.
Thanks, Bumbo. Good to hear from you. Appreciate it. Brian, you came up on stage, or anybody Southern who wants to speak?
I did. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. How are you?
Doing all right. My apologies. I am en route. I was hoping there was another speaker or two and give me a minute to get to my destination. I'm still on the road, but I wanted to tell you how right I think you are about a certain few things there. I don't know how clear it is being made, or if it'll ever be well known, or if we'll get the truth out of it all. But I think the whole thing about when Trump came out the first time they ran, 2016, and he said that she spied on my campaign. They spied on his campaign. And I think that was from the beginning. She's been in government a long time. And to have spied on his campaign meant that they were, I think essentially, he saw them and they caught them taking steps the direction of doing the same things that he was going after, just in a slightly different, rearranged manner. And the exploitation of his campaign, he had to really step it up and go after it, or they would have robbed it right out from under his nose. The whole Kennedy thing, the entire crypto thing, whatever, the exploitation of accounts, or etc. I believe that he had a plan to move us into the wave of the next future, the wave of the next generations. And I think that they spied on his campaign and took advantage of every opportunity that they could over the past 30, 40 years. Because no joke, he's been the driver of the SEC since at least the 90s, and he's been in his corporation since 71. So to think that this has been a great plan for America that's fixing to come to fruition, and they ruined it by essentially commandeering it and making it theirs instead of his idea. And now there's the whole mix-up of who actually is responsible for doing what. And they're all trying to placate the idea of taking credit for it. So I don't know, but I kind of see that, and it kind of fits a lot. So,
So fun. I mean, we have such wonderful, moral people running our country. It's just unbelievable. So well respected, and, just clean as a whistle.
Yeah, if you worship Satan.
For those of you who don't know, I was being sarcastic.
Speaking of which,
sarcastic.
speaking of which, Kim, I do have a video of Democrats speaking about a closed border and illegal immigrants and that they should be deported. You think I could play a little bit of that real quick?
Yeah, let's get to Mike's hand and then we'll go with that.
Okay, Mike popped his hand up. I didn't see that. My apologies, Mike. You're the man. Appreciate it.
No worries. I was just kind of going back through my feed today, and I just think it's kind of amazing, like how many stories are coming out that are just so bad for Kamala. So I thought, amongst all the bad things happening in the country, I just want to kind of go through this list real quick of these things that came out today, because it's crazy. So we find out that Kamala's agreed to do an interview with Bret Baier. He's not great, but would probably be the most pushback she ever gets. Nick Sorter's reporting, Time Magazine, is now saying that Kamala refused repeated requests for an interview due to the requirement that the full transcript had to be released, acknowledging that Trump did 2 sessions with him and even Biden did it. Christopher Rufo went on X and he's reporting that Kamala plagiarized a dozen sections of her book, and it was from Wikipedia that she plagiarized. The Rasmussen head pollster went on, it's Mark Mitchell, went on the Benny Johnson show and said that he doesn't, after his latest round of polling in Pennsylvania, he doesn't think it's possible for Kamala to win the state. CNN today had a segment where they find that Kamala's support amongst Black men and Black women are at critical lows and trending lower. And then I think we've already acknowledged the Bill Clinton statement about Laken Riley. And so like, it's just, there's all these things coming out. And it's like maybe things are starting to turn a little bit. I'm not saying like, hey, let's all celebrate, but it's interesting. I just thought it was interesting. But yeah, go ahead with your clip.
So much stuff that came out this weekend. I mean, like, again, with the EPA and the grants, you know, aka the laundering or the taxpayer dollars. There was so much that the idea that Diddy could be charged with Michael Jackson's murder, that was all a ruse, that Oprah was involved in that. I mean, let's see, what else? Then we get this thing with the whole Mindy Robinson's business partner and that whole thing at Coachella. I mean, there's just been all kinds of weird stuff this weekend. More fire hose than normal, I would say.
Exactly. It's crazy. Yeah, and the whole Coachella. I'm trying to like wait till I get more information, but that one guy Raheem did post the actual summons from the police that guy got. It had nothing to do with like fake license plates or fake passports or anything like that. But you can. I put the picture of the summons actually down the chat. Still waiting for more information on some of these brand new stories, but. Like especially the Walt stuff. I know Ian Carroll is kind of like covering it a little bit, but like explaining that he knows none of it's been corroborated yet. So a lot of people are staying away from that for the moment. But yeah, just so much stuff.
But didn't we used to have like televised electrocutions on in the U.S.?
Let's go.
Didn't we, you know, like a Diddy Fry or something, you know?
Oh, but you used to have to watch that movie in school.
You gotta put the fear of God in some of these people, you know, like, you know, so they don't try this crap ever again, you know?
I don't think they show that movie anymore. Y'all remember that movie you had to watch that the guy would get electrocuted at the end? I don't know if anybody else had to watch that at school, but I remember we had to watch it every year, like with
they put a bag over their head and
the sponge on his head.
Are you talking about the movie where they do the electrocution and the lights go out in the whole city because they use too much juice?
Yeah.
Oh, and the ghost like goes out.
Like we would alternate between that and Old Yeller every year.
Nah,
we watched it.
We didn't watch that in school because they were still hanging people and using the firing squad.
Chris, they hadn't gotten to the electric chair yet.
They had an electric chair, but it was considered cruel and unusual punishment, so they just shot people and hung them. They had a gas chamber in California.
Wasn't it televised at one point?
No, they didn't have televised execution.
Come on, why not?
But
no, people just used to gather around in the town square.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm in. Count me in. I'm ready.
I mean, when
there's a Toby Keith song about that. Great song.
When they did the execution of the people that assassinated Abraham Lincoln, they did it at the Navy Yard in Washington D.C. And there's a picture.
All of this happened in a Mel Gibson movie, just for the record.
I heard today that statue of Abraham Lincoln is not who we think it is, and that there's the basement underneath the statue, and that it's been there for so much longer, but our history is so askewed that we don't know our elbow from our asshole, as they say. Isn't that wild? Have you heard that, Jen? You've heard a lot of shit. Have you heard that?
So I have heard that, right? But I've also heard that the Statue of Liberty is not who we think it is, right? And that it's actually, if you go back, there was like a painting in 15 something, probably 1566 or something, right? Of Lucifer. If you look at that painting and then go look at the Statue of Liberty, it's literally the exact same thing, like exact same person, right? With the crown, and that it's actually Lucifer is the Statue of Liberty. And I'm really glad I did not get the Statue of Liberty tattooed on my ankle as I was going to. That would have been a really bad idea.
It's the Illuminati. It's the torch, the light. You know, that's their light bearer.
Satan is the bearer of light, right? Isn't that the thing?
100%. These people are sick. And, you know, that's why, like, I hate when people just point to one group and be like, it's one group. No, it's people that have, you know, gotten into all groups, all religions, all government, you know, and these people are the occult, you know, like... So, yeah.
Like, it's just really weird that Hillary Clinton just keeps randomly talking about, like, I don't eat children. These crazy people tell me I eat children. And it's like, no one asked you if you ate children, but thank you for providing that information that no one asked for.
Freak. Yeah. So I do have this little bit of a video. I'll play a little bit of it. It's kind of interesting. It's pretty, yeah, they're preaching.
No great nation can be in a position where they can't control their borders. It matters how you control your borders, not just for immigration, but it matters for drugs, terror, a whole range of other things.
When I took office, I committed to fixing this broken immigration system. And I began by doing what I could to secure our borders. Even as we are a nation of immigrants, we're also a nation of laws. Undocumented workers broke our immigration laws. And I believe that they must be held accountable, especially those who may be dangerous. If you're a criminal, you'll be deported. If you plan to enter the U.S. illegally, your chances of getting caught and sent back just went up.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more, by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens. In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes, to better identify illegal aliens in the workplace.
Not fair to Americans. So you have to hold employers responsible in this measure here. Hold them responsible that they have to hire Americans first. Only if there's no Americans available for the job should we be promoting the idea of bringing in extra workers, in my view.
I don't know why we need millions of people to be coming into this country as guest workers who will work for lower wages than American workers and drive wages down even lower than they are right now.
People in the country should have the first opportunity to be able to have jobs that pay well and have jobs that are decent, and that after that, the second crack goes to what we may need from other parts of the world.
Illegal immigration is wrong, plain and simple. Until the American people are convinced that we will stop future flows of illegal immigration, we will make no progress on dealing with the millions of illegal immigrants who are here now and on rationalizing our system of legal immigration. It's plain and simple and unavoidable.
Ladies and gentlemen, no great country can say it is secure without being able to control its borders, period.
The bill before us will certainly do some good. It will authorize some badly needed funding for better fences and better security along our borders. And that should help stem some of the tide of illegal immigration in this country.
I would radically ramp up the number of border security guards we have, the use of electronic surveillance material we have to guard the border, and the number of what they call virtual fences. They're not literally fences, virtual fences from aerostat balloons on to whereby we can control the border. Much, much better.
So there are places where having a fence and extending the fence makes sense, and I voted for that. So it makes it more difficult for people taking large commodities and drugs to have to come around for us to be able to intercept.
I've been arguing for the need to put more protection at our borders, meaning that you have more border guards. This president, refusing to add the number of border guards, now said he has to send the National Guard down. He vetoed. He was against adding the number of border guards. I only can suggest the reason he was is because he needed that money for his tax cuts that were unnecessary. I'm not being facetious. I'm being serious. Again, show me what you value. He had put a higher value on tax cuts for the wealthy than he did on protecting the border. And all of a sudden, the public responds, and now he says, now we got to send the National Guard down there that's already overstretched by God knows how much.
I voted for a fence. I voted, unlike most Democrats, some of you won't like it. I voted for 700-mile fence. People are driving across that border with tons, hear me, tons of everything from byproducts from methamphetamine, cocaine, to heroin. It's all coming up through Mexico.
Almost all of the fencing mandated by the Congress has, in fact, been completed. 645 miles out of 655 miles that was mandated.
All right, that's enough of that. So you heard that there was a bunch of Democrats saying that, you know, everything that they call Trump a xenophobe for prior to his presidency, obviously, how they spoke. And it's just, yeah, they're hypocrites.
They are absolutely hypocrites. And, you know, again, we, as Ian Carroll said in his speech, you know, it's up to us to stand up and fight with our words and not allow them to manufacture consent. We have got to stop giving them consent to be governed. They're illegitimate. Although that reminds me of like Letitia James every time I say it.
Okay, no, there's something weird happening, right? So, do you know the amount of people, because you know how Dustin's like family like signed the Declaration of Independence and like walk across the country with Brigham Young and like whatever, right? The amount of people I have met who were like, oh yeah, my ancestors are these part of the founding of the country. Oh, these part of this, da 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 da. And it's like they're all gathering. Right. And it's really freaking weird. And it's kind of like it's every time it's happening, it's like kind of like weirding me out because I'm like, dude, like, why are they going after everybody's genetic DNA so badly with like 23andMe and stuff? Right. Like, is there more to our genetic like family bloodline than they are like making it out to be? Like, then they have like told us, oh, this is important, that is important. Like, no, actually, you all should be like paying attention to your roots and realizing like, oh, that it's not all happening by happenstance. I don't know.
I think that it all plays a role. I think that with the blocking of our endocrine system, you know, keeping us away from God, you know, taking the civics out of things, not teaching us what we need to know in order to be able to be free. I mean, honestly, just making us forget what freedom really means. I mean, it's messy, and it's not you, telling on your neighbor to your HOA, no more hall monitors, no Karens, none of that shit. If you've got a problem, you deal with it, right there. You don't need somebody else looking out for you and, making all of these decisions. And we need someone who's going to apply the law and protect us militarily. But that's it.
And you know what, Kim, it's really interesting, right? Because I went to military school, right? So in military school, the higher your grade, so the seniors were in charge of the juniors, who were in charge of the sophomores, who were in charge of the freshmen, right? And you'd see these kids go from privates and all of a sudden get rank and be in charge, even if they had a meaningless job or a meaningless rank where they weren't in charge of a lot, but they were in charge of a little more than they used to. This superiority complex, and you really see the true leadership style of people when they're put in a position of rank, in a position of being in charge, and how they handle it and how they treat the people that are beneath them is so important, right? And it's people who have gotten power in this country who were you're right, the hall monitors, or oh, today you get to be the class leader, and all of a sudden little Jimmy over here is turning into freaking Mussolini and trying to round up everybody and get them on the playground, right? Those are the people we don't want in charge, right? There are certain people who just don't have the ability to handle certain situations or have certain positions of power, right? And instead of being oh, everyone is equal, everyone deserves a medal, everyone, women are just as good as men. No, there is difference in sexes for a reason, right? There is differences in rank and military leadership and just leadership in general for a reason. And unless you put the proper people who need to be in those positions, who deserve to be in those positions because they have the ability and the experience to carry out those tasks, then we are doing ourselves a disservice by trying to make everybody happy and sit there and be oh, everyone's equal, everyone can do this job. No, everyone can't do this job. And because I have to sit here and deal with your freaking emotions and your feelings and be oh, no, it's okay, you're just as good. No, okay, your leadership style sucks. You can't be here. You shouldn't be here. Go over there and sit down and let somebody get in charge and in that position who can be successful and lead us into victory instead of leading us into destruction because we have to worry about your damn ego.
Hey, Kim, I do have those videos that you sent me queued up. So whenever you're ready, let me know.
Yes, that is some
okay.
good
Maybe
hope.
I just went on.
No, yeah, I was just coming back to the microphone to just say something. I completely agree with you, Jen. I mean, I think that we really, really, really need to stay on top of it and just, again, we're sort of in this limbo stage right now, right? We've got 24 days until the election. But what's going to happen between the election and the inauguration? That's really starting to become a real focus.
Okay, so I see a very dangerous thing happening, and I think I put it in the nest. Yes, I did. So it just came out through Inside Paper. Take it with a grain of salt. Sometimes they're right. Sometimes, I don't know, they're not. But anyways, Biden warns Iran any attempts on Trump's life would be considered an act of war as per Politico. So what they've literally done now, right? So they're literally, anything that happens to Trump, they're going to be like, oh, it's Iran. Oh, it's Iran. We have to go out and defend Trump's honor and start World War III. And then they're going to turn around and be like, oh, look, Trump started World War III. Now we're in World War III because of Trump. If Trump wasn't running, we wouldn't be in World War III. It's all Trump's fault. Watch.
Yeah, these people are insane. My bad, Jenna. I just, my brother was talking to me at the end there when you were done. I was just letting Kim know.
No, because it was kind of mean, right? It was just blunt truth. And I was like, okay, maybe I took it a step too far. I don't know. I've been going through a lot lately. Maybe my like guard is a little too far down and I'm just like saying what I feel. So yeah, I don't know. Hit me up in the DMs if I offended you. Let's talk. Like, I don't know.
You've been through a lot, Jen, over the past 4, 5, 6 years, for God's sake. You know, you got a lot of slack with everybody. God
She's
bless
been
you.
through a lot in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, on top of it, yeah.
Yeah, but was it like, I don't know if it was too harsh, right? I think like if you're in a position where like, I don't know. I don't even know.
This is some of the most bizarre, most insane, most sickening politics our country has ever seen. I don't think anything is too harsh at this point. You know, when you speak out, if you don't get people's attention, they're not going to listen. So when you know, to quote you to yourself, which is not always a good thing to do because I don't want to get beat up. You put on the full armor of God and go after their ass, and don't be ashamed about it, because you can't fight evil unless you make known who evil is.
Well, thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. And like, I do live by that. Right. And I see, like, I kind of describe DEI without saying DEI, right? Because I guess that's a bad word now. We're not allowed to say it. Right. But here we are, like, people who should be military leaders, right? Because they didn't check certain boxes of like sexual orientation or like gay legal status, right? Like, they can't be in that position because we've hired too many white people or we've hired too many Black people this month, right? Like, it's things like that. Instead of putting the people in there who could actually get the job done, right? We have to adhere to this like DEI like thing where it's like, oh no, we can't have too many of these kinds of people because like we have to show equality. Like, at this point, I really don't give a shit who gets in the position. If they need to be effective, they need to be able to get the job done and lead people into victory, instead of like sitting there and being like, oh, well, I am offended by the use of the word shit and all this. I'm going to need my quiet space for 5 minutes and only women are allowed to talk now. Like, this is what we're dealing with when literally the world is on fire. Japan or freaking China's encircling Taiwan. The Middle East is about to erupt in freaking all-out nuclear war. And we have to worry about, you know, hiring the right amount of ethnicity per, you know, social order. I'm so glad we're here.
I can't imagine how the drill sergeants are now. Like, get down and give me 50, soldier, or something, maggot, or whatever. They can't say that anymore.
No, so
like,
they have
like,
cards
kind of
in the military. They're like stress cards, right? So if you're getting your ass reamed out by a drill sergeant because you fucked up, right, you can pull your little stress card out and say, no, stop yelling at me. This is too much, right? Like me, even in military high school, I've been pressed up against the wall and had military freaking generals screaming at me, right? Like, we didn't get no stress cards, and that was high school, right? Like, how in the regular U.S. military, so when you're in battle, bullets are flying at your head, are you going to pull out your stress card and be like, I'm too stressed, hold fire? Like, get the fuck out of here.
It's insanity. It's utter insanity.
Well, Adam's got some clips that have, you know, again, it's watching the realization and the transformation of, you know, Black Americans and, you know, them talking to other Black Americans and saying, you know, things that we've been talking about for a really long time. So if you want to play a couple of those, do the second one I sent you first, that guy that's famous.
Trump is always Trump. I don't give a if you like him or not, he's always him. If he says he's going to say some arrogant off the cuff, Yup, he does do that. But this motherfucker's a smart businessman. And I hate the people that say, oh, he's been bankrupt this many times. That's what smart businessmen do. First of all, all companies are not made to last. Some companies are made to be disposable. But y'all don't know that because you're not a business people like that. You don't know, first of all, and people that are successful, you know how many failures they've had in order to be successful? Like, all your failures prep you for your success. Like, how are you going to say this man's a failure and he became the president of the fucking United States after having bankruptcies and all this type of shit? Like, no, that's what I call resilience, okay? That's what I call resiliency. Somebody that doesn't take no for an answer, despite seeming like the cloud is over you, they still find a silver lining and know how to spin that shit in order to bounce back like a fucking G. That's the type of fucking we need in a fucking leader of this fucking country. Not this cackling broad who's gonna fucking laugh, at the wrong fucking shit, or something is visibly. She has no poker face. Like, she'd be in there with heads of state and be a meeting, just like a dilly broad would do. I'm sorry, girls like her might be fun to knock off and shit like that, but as far as leading some shit, she can't lead nothing for me. She can't lead, I wouldn't let her lead the blind. Like, I'm not fucking with her.
How you feel about her saying that she watches her collard greens in a bathtub?
This is her, again, being disingenuous. First of all, black people don't wash no damn greens in no tub. You dirty ass dog. How unsanitary are you to be washing collard greens in a tub and thinking that makes you more relatable? See, that's how out of touch she is. How stupid she is. She thought she was giving a relatable story to make her seem black. Oh, yeah. Oh, they want me to cook their collard greens. They bring me all their collard greens in the neighborhood. I had so many greens, I had to wash them in the tub. Just like she was in the, you better thank a union member. You better thank a union member. She talking all black, but then when she get in front of the Spanish people, they said, I love you, Kamala. She said, I love you too. I love you too. Then when she gets in front of the white people, you better thank a union member for everything that you have, because, union members are very, they're part of the economy. Like, who are you? Who are you?
Who is Kamala Harris? Oh, God.
It's good therapy.
I'm ready for a Vietnamese rally. I want to see her Asian impression. I'm so excited.
Yes.
Let's get her out in front of the Chinese, please.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
First one to do an impression gets fired.
Oh, let's please have that. Can we form the Vietnamese coalition and invite her?
15 minutes.
My name is Kamala Harris. I am communist. Me love you long time.
But
vote for
her
me.
family is literally the upper echelon of India. Like, her mother's family is the top of the caste system.
And her
then
dad's
she's
family
I'm from
was
a middle class family. Like, wait, what?
Her dad's
you're
family
middle
was
class
the top,
nowhere.
Her dad's family was the top slave traders in slave owners in Jamaica.
Yeah, five plantations, 200 slaves. And then she went to high school in Quebec. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, they
It's
did
so out
say
of
the
touch.
devil was a liar.
So, yeah, look, you want me to jump on the next...
Hold on, Bumble's hands up.
Oh, Bumble. What's up? Rumbly Bumbly. Go ahead.
I gotta come back. Sorry.
I see hands up from Southern, Mike, and KT.
Oh, I see no hands.
Me neither.
So-
I don't see any hands either.
All right, if you
I see
have your
them on
hand
my
up
PC.
and we're not calling on you, please don't take offense. X is broken.
Yeah, I'm on my computer though, so that may be why I'm seeing it.
Yeah, I see those same hands up.
Brian just put his hand back up, or no, he just gave a thumbs up.
All right, just open your mic and start talking to somebody because we can't see
That's
hands.
'cause Southern's had her hand up the longest, I think.
Go ahead, Southern. Can someone else talk to Southern? Maybe she can't hear us.
Hey, Southern. You got your hand up?
Okay,
They
she
gotta
might be
fix it.
busy.
My God.
Who else has their hand up? I can't see.
Back to me, because it's all about me. So just to backtrack a bit, from inside my post within the military-industrial complex back in the mid-90s, they started with this DEI crap, and on day one, it made no sense to me, and I stood up in the class where they were instituting it, and I said, "This is reverse racism," and they said, "No, it's I think they called it a meritocracy or something." And for doing so, a post that I had worked years to achieve, by end of day, I was transferred to another division. And the joke was on them because the other division was down the street from my house, like 5 miles. And when they finally realized their mistake, they gave me my job back and apologized, only it wasn't sincere. But now, like over 20 years later, you see the ill effects of DEI in our warfighter response, the grounding of the Ospreys, Boeing jets falling apart in flight, and the cream of the crop, the number one failing DEI venture is none other than the Obama-Biden administrations. I yield.
I mean, the fact that our head of Health and Human Services is a tranny speaks for itself. Brian, did you want to go before Adam plays another clip?
I won't take just a moment. It was a few minutes ago, Jen said a few things that was quite profound. It got me to thinking, back into the early 90s. If anyone remembers, just yesterday, just a few days ago here, the anniversary just came about, the 30th anniversary, as a matter of fact, of the launch of Netscape Navigator. Anybody remember that? The first commercial attempt at making a web browser. Netscape was initially launched as Mosaic Netscape 0.9 on October 13th, 1994. Jim Clark, a lot of work. And this was the first actual use in commercial use of silicon. It's quite a write-up and read. I think it was an article on it here just the other day. I just wanted to ask if anybody remembers that, and have we learned anything from that?
I use Netscape.
Yeah, boy, that was a minute ago, weren't it?
I'd still be using Netscape, but anything that's good they got rid of.
I remember Netscape.
I remember.
Sorry, guys,
Netscape, but I don't
I'm getting
remember
ready,
anything
so
about it because I was like in kindergarten, I think.
Yeah, it was the days of dial-up internet. Beep, beep, beep.
Yeah, I was going to say it took about 5
He's
minutes for the
talking
page
about
to load.
1994. If he's talking about 1994, I was like in like maybe kindergarten or first grade. But I had dial-up internet when I was like, I don't know what, 12, 13, maybe.
Yeah, it hung around for just a little while. Yeah, that'd be right. But they started the engineering on that in the late 70s and through the 80s, got their feet behind them. And in 91, they actually started releasing something. In 94, and between 94 and 96, yeah, they released Mosaic. And, yep, it was quite, that really drove the brunt of everything that would become streamlined. The first product, if anybody remembers right, the first major product they streamlined through Netscape was health care. You're welcome.
That's so juicy. that is a good correlation there. All right, so listen, guys. I need to get ready. So if you guys want to listen to this clip and talk amongst yourselves, or I can shut this down so that I can finish getting ready because I have an engagement at 6.
I have to go, Kim. I was just about to tell you I'm dropping.
All right. Well, does anybody have any last words before I shut her down?
Yeah, you gotta go, Kim? You were saying?
I do. I need to go get ready.
Okay. I did have this Nicole Shanahan like kind of
go for it.
Bit from like she spoke with Roseanne Barr. It's I've got it timed out. Let me just make sure that it's the correct timing. 1:25, yeah. So okay, yeah, it's the end of the interview, but it was pretty good.
I just want to say thank you to everybody for messages. I'll be getting back to everybody and all the notes and prayers and thoughts. Really appreciate you guys. Love y'all. See you later.
Did Dustin ever meet up with Lieutenant Dan?
No, we have been we literally just got power back this morning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's been interesting.
All right, well, I'm glad you got power back at least, Hopefully everything else falls in place. Prayers to you, Dustin.
And before you start that clip, I just want to thank everybody for coming. Really appreciate everybody on Rumble, Pill.net, QUX, Kick.com, YouTube, X Live, and of course our X Spaces people that we love so much. Please go out to American Mission, check it out. We did just drop a whole new line of merchandise. The Betsy Ross flag, Make America Your Mission, and there is a 20% discount. So go check it out. Got some really cool stuff.
You wouldn't believe the amount of phone calls I'm making, and because I got these phone numbers. So I'm going to continue to try to just bring people together to know that we have to do it. It's our government.
Mm-hmm.
It's not theirs.
Yeah.
It's ours.
Yep. And I will say Trump loves the Constitution. He respects it very deeply. I think he respects the family. I think he respects a mom being a mom.
Mm-hmm.
I think he defers to moms when it comes to raising their own children.
I do too.
He does.
And if you are a mom in America right now, that is at stake.
Yes, it is. It's the target, especially single moms who have single moms. It's their kids that are being targeted in the public schools for all of it.
Oh, I would be a man right now if I grew up because I was a tomboy.
Me too.
I liked baseball. I liked baseball cards.
I like hitting other kids and being unfair to them and stuff.
Real quick, I have to say the unity of Bobby and you with Trump. I know Trump's not everybody's ideal. I'm sure when you started out, that wasn't your plan. I know where we are now, but I can tell you, Kamala.
Bobby lifts them.
Well, hold on. Kamala and the Democrats, everyone in this room was a Democrat. I was a Bernie bro with you in 2016. She ran as a socialist in 2012. We've all been through this journey. We've seen it happen since 16 and even before then. We're here as Democrats, traditional Democrats, saying there's something wrong with this country and with that party. And now we're unifying around Trump. I hated Trump.
Yeah.
We're unifying for a reason, because that is the party right now that is our party.
Willing to solve problems rather than to stay
And we have
in
to do it.
stodgy, just dogma.
They're the uniparty. They're the war party. Kamala is not your daddy's Democrats. Trump is closer to that. And that's
You know what they are?
crazy.
They're neocons.
Yeah.
They're neocons
Oh, yeah.
pretend to be progressives.
Yes.
Well, I mean, she just announced this list of 200 Republicans that have endorsed Cheney, and every single one of them is a multi-generational neocon.
Neocons.
And war criminal.
And
they're acting like, they're progressives. Are you kidding me? That's a mass mind control program. And they've been doing it for a while.
Done by Silicon Valley, which I have to, that's my last question, then I'll let you go. You said you saw a change in 2016. You didn't know if the people involved were victims or part of it. But now, where do you find yourself in that? Because it's happened
She said
so
she's
fast.
still figuring it out.
Well, you've been here for an hour talking to us, so hopefully it changed. You saw it happen so fast and so coordinated. It can't be natural, right? It has to be.
It's bigger than we
an
know.
influence, right?
Yeah. I mean, I understand some of the mechanics of how it works. You know, there's pressure from Congress, and you can call in these tech founders and force them to testify on one issue from another, from internet bullying. I mean, you pick it, drug use on the social media sites. They've made an example of some of these tech founders, like Ross Ulbricht is in prison. Julian Assange just got out of prison. So, the stakes are very high. It is it's a tough thing to be a tech leader today. You're held to different standards. And I think that where we are in 2024, it's very clear where the divisions lie. It's very interesting because they're all developing and racing in these AI wars right now as well. And you see the divisions happening. And it's very clear there are some tech founders that are going to be constitutionalists, and they're willing to sacrifice it all.
I love that.
There aren't many. But there's some. And I have to say, Elon Musk is a little bit bulletproof because of SpaceX and Starlink. He can get away with the stuff he's doing on X, but that's the only thing protecting him is his space program, the fact that it works.
It's been delightful to have this conversation with you and have you here as a guest.
Your fearlessness makes me feel inspired. You're very fearless.
Well,
Roseanne.
I'm very old, so it doesn't matter. I'm 72. What the hell? There's little Laken. If I die, what the hell? I left a lot of good stuff behind. And I'm probably worth more dead than alive, to be frank.
Certainly for me, yes.
Well, I disagree. We're new friends. I'd like to, I'd like to explore this friendship.
I would too. Thank you. You're
you.
just a delightful person.
Oh,
and your
very much.
ideas.
Yeah, guys, if you get a chance to watch that episode, I'm not like a Roseanne Barr fanatic, but I saw that Nicole Shanahan was on there, and it was worth checking out. So check it out on Rumble. Also,
I can't wait to watch the Joe Rogan, Sean Ryan podcast.
I was gonna say, while you're at Rumble checking that out, stop by, search for American Mission, and drop us a follow, and give a few videos a like while you're at it. I do want to thank all of the viewers over on Rumble, pilled.net, QUX, YouTube, X Live, and did I forget any others? And our listeners here on X Spaces. Thank you for joining us today. Go ahead, Kim.
No, I was going to say that is on Rumble. Also, there's the link in the to the Bundy Ranch versus Deep State, what they've been trying to do in Vegas. So if you want some entertainment and a little triggering, that documentary by our friend Mindy Robinson is quite compelling. And thanks everybody.
Also on Rumble, real quick, there is RSBN, the Right Side Broadcasting Network, and they are broadcasting live the Trump town hall tonight in Pennsylvania.
My husband had no idea.
It looks like they're singing the national anthem right now, and Trump's expected to speak at 6 for a town hall. So just throwing that out there if you want something to listen to.